Well, the rampage of former police officer turned cop killer Christopher Dorner might have come to an end with the death of the 33-year-old. But Los Angeles residents are still dealing with the aftermath of this chaotic manhunt. The LAPD is in full damage control mode. Two women caught in the crossfire are being offered $40,000 in reparations after nearly losing their lives. But while the city tries to mop up the mess, two more cases of police officers using excessive force are making headlines. One about a mother who is also a registered nurse who claims that she was roughed up by two LAPD officers. That incident was caught on surveillance video, and she is now suing the city for her injuries. Also, relatives of a Los Angeles man say he was unarmed and posed no threat when officers shot and killed him in Echo Park earlier this month. So are these cases evidence that the LAPD has reverted to its old ways? Ron Gochez is a community organizer, and he might have some answers for us. Hey there, Ron. So one issue that the Christopher Dorner saga brought into light was the questionable tactics that the LAPD has sometimes used. Now, with the recent cases that I just highlighted, it seems that this strong use of force isn't just slowing down anytime soon. Is that the sense that you're getting?
Yeah, I've lived in Los Angeles all of my life, and this is nothing new. This is just these are more examples of what really is the norm for the Los Angeles Police Department. I mean, this is a department that has a long history of abuse and repression, and these two last incidents, the only real reason why we're even talking about them is because they were captured on video. But there are many other cases that go unreported that we don't know about because simply no one captured on video. But unfortunately, we're not talking about a few rotten apples in the department. I think it's something that's systematic and has been seen for many generations here in Los Angeles.
Well, and just to be clear, Dorner was not a hero. He was a killer, and he did kill people. But many of the people that the LAPD confronts every day are just ordinary citizens. Is LA such a dangerous place that these tactics are necessary?
I actually live in South Central Los Angeles, which is known pretty much internationally for being a dangerous place. But I don't think it's dangerous. I'm not afraid of my community. But however, I think a lot of the people in our community, we're afraid of one of the most powerful and organized gangs in Los Angeles, and that's the Los Angeles Police Department, because we know what's happened. And of course, we're not defending the actions of Christopher Dorner, but I think that what he wrote, there's a lot of truth in what he said, and a lot of things that he was trying to expose are things that our community has been saying for many, many years. So I think that as a community, whether you're political, whether you're not, whether it's just young people who may look like gang members according to the police department, people fear the police department because of what they have done historically and specifically to people of color and poor people in Los Angeles.
So as a community organizer, what do you tell members of the community when they're dealing with police?
Well, it's extremely important, number one, that we know our rights, that we know, the law, we know what we can and cannot do. That way we know how to defend ourselves and we know how to document things. Like I mentioned, the case of Ms. Jordan, this is only being talked about because this was captured on video. So we train our community to, to use cell phones, use cameras, to document as much as possible, to get badge numbers, to know the names of the officers. That way, if there is an incident, we have a way of following up legally, not only in the court system, but also in the streets. And that means, organizing, rallying, marching, protesting, whatever it takes to be able to defend the interests of our community.
Now, Ron, the LAPD has been trying to clean up its image over the past 4 years or so. Was there ever a point in time when you thought that it was actually happening, when you actually saw progress being made?
I have to be honest, and I would say no. I've personally met with Chief Beck. I've met with officers within the LAPD, and although I have to say some of them mean well, again, it's a systematic problem. It's an entire department with a long history of not only racism and abuse, but also of just brutal attacks against our community. And I think that while some may go into the department trying to do well, they have a good heart and they want to defend our community. I think that they quickly get swallowed up by the culture of the LAPD, and that's one of violence, of abuse, of repression, and in many cases of racism. So I don't feel it, the community doesn't feel it. When we see the LAPD stealing cars from undocumented immigrants, the LAPD, attacking Black and Latinos, for racial profiling. So in the streets, the sense that we get is no, things are not getting better, but that's why we have to keep organizing as a community to educate our community so that we can defend ourselves.
And let's talk about this racial profiling. I mean, you guys don't have a stop and frisk program, but you do have a lot of cases where people are claiming that they were racially profiled. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Sure. The city of Los Angeles was making over $21 million annually just from the theft of vehicles from undocumented immigrants. They were doing, quote unquote, sobriety checkpoints at 2 p.m. in front of high schools, trying to look for drunk drivers. In reality, they were traps, they were setups to catch people who were undocumented to take their cars. When we look at in the black community, I mean, this is, driving while black. This is part of the culture in Los Angeles. People know that for blacks and Latinos to be driving in LA in a nice vehicle, you're going to get followed, you're going to get looked at by the Los Angeles Police Department. And it's sad that we have to really generalize an entire department, but now, this is just the culture that we've grown up in, and we know that this is a norm. This has been famous in movies, the news. It's part of popular culture that the LAPD, it's a racist department that attacks the people in its city. We're talking about LA, where the majority of the people in Los Angeles are people of color. So, unfortunately, this is a reality for us, and I hope that things do get better one day. But as of now, I think we have a lot of training to do for the police department so they don't attack people like they do now. We need something more where people can talk about things and not just simply, shoot first and ask questions later.
On the other hand, Ron, I mean, LA is notorious for having really high crime rates. So how would you prefer to see the LAPD take on these crime rates but still both inform the community as well as stay within their own rights?
Well, I think it's a matter of funding, of budgets. I think that we can use a lot more of our money here in the city of Los Angeles, like any other city in the country, to really invest in our youth, through music, through sports, through the arts. I think that will really lead to a society that we all want, that will be safer. It would reduce crime, reduce drug use, reduce gangs, etc. But right now we have a system where over half of the money, over half of the tax dollars here in Los Angeles go directly to the Los Angeles Police Department or to law enforcement in general. And that's creating a police state that really has obviously proven that it is not reducing crime, murders, drug use, etc. So I think that what we can do is, one, is the way that we use our money as a society invested into young people, and two, also that we provide training for Los Angeles Police Department so that they know how to deal with people, so that they don't have this culture of violence, of attacking people, and that's extremely important. And thirdly, we need something that's going to, we don't need these internal investigations that never come up with any real solutions. We need a community-elected civilian review board that would have hiring and firing power over the Los Angeles Police Department. That way, there's some accountability from the department and the community. But as of now, there is no accountability. Not a single police officer in the history of Los Angeles has been, tried for murder while on the job, while they've killed hundreds of people in the city of Los Angeles. So they know they have total impunity, and that's why they do what they do. But as a community, I think we have to continue to pressure to make that change.
Ron Gochez, community organizer, joining us from our Los Angeles studio.
Thank you.